Welcome back to my channel, you guys. I feel like every time I do a pregnancy update, I'm like, I haven't done one in forever. So today's video is actually gonna be our labor and delivery story. She is finally here. I know I didn't make I don't even know what my last update video was, but she's here. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of like an update leading up to our labor and delivery, and then a labor and delivery, our story, because it was quick. So she's sitting right here. So hopefully she's sitting there listening to me trying to take a nap. So hopefully I will talk her to sleep and she will take a little nap. But her name is Parker Elizabeth. And before I even get any questions on like where we came up with her name, Nick actually came up with it, or thought of it, I guess, the day that we popped balloons to find out her gender. So we literally like popped the balloons and he was like, what about Parker? Like came to him right away for a girl. And so we sat on it. We had a couple names, like a list of names too. So we just kind of waited until she came, and then we decided on her name. And Elizabeth is my middle name. So we knew we wanted to stick with Elizabeth because Grayson's middle name is Levi, which is Nick's middle name. So we just wanted to keep those kind of like the same as ours. And we really liked Parker because it's unique for a girl. You hear it more for boys, but it's very unique for a girl, and we wanted a unique name but not like a weird name, if that makes sense. So her name is Parker Elizabeth. I have no idea what we're gonna call her for a nickname right now. I've been calling her Monkey, or Little Miss. I don't know, we'll have to see what she grows into. But leading up to our delivery day, so we had her on August 8th, 2019, and I had my 40-week appointment on August 7th, that Wednesday. I went in, I got checked. She said I was like a 3-4, 80% effaced, super, super soft. Baby was right down in there. And I had asked her, and I kind of went into my appointment thinking like, okay, I'm gonna ask her if we can get induced next week and just like have it on the books in case she doesn't come over the weekend and whatnot. So I had asked my doctor, I was like, hey, well, I don't wanna get my membrane swiped because I don't want any other business going on in there. Can we set up an induction date for like coming up? I think I wanna get my water broke and just see if that gets things going. That's kind of what I had told her. And she was like, yeah, let me see if we can get you in tomorrow. And I was like, oh shoot, tomorrow? But my doctor was on call on that Thursday, so she wanted to make sure that I was able to be seen by her, which I absolutely loved. I'm so grateful she did that because I personally wanted to see my own doctor. So she was able to actually work some magic and get me in to be induced that next day, which was Thursday the 8th at 11 a.m. So we literally called everybody after I got out of my doctor's appointment. I was like, okay, we're being induced tomorrow unless something happens. Since I was like an elective induction, I wasn't a medical needed induction, I could have got bumped, but I was still on the books the next day. So we called everybody, let everybody know that like, hey, we're being induced on Thursday at 11 a.m. So we got to get things like figured out, people here to watch Gray and whatnot. So Thursday morning happens. I wake up with like contractions, but they're like 12 to 15 minutes apart. And I didn't even know, you guys, I didn't even know I could feel the contractions, but I didn't know how consistent they were. And I honestly they weren't painful enough for me to be like, this is a contraction. Like me and Gray went on a walk that morning. We went to the park to play. It was really just like any other morning. But I was having contractions. There you go. I was having contractions and I didn't know that until we had actually gotten into the hospital and checked in, and they hooked me up to the monitors, and they're like, oh yeah, you are having contractions. Like, this is how far apart they are. And I was like, oh, okay. So my body has been doing something. So we went in at 11. We went in 11 a.m. on on August 8th and got checked in. That process took a little while. It was like before my doctor actually came in, it was one in the afternoon, and she had gotten called back to a C-section, so that kind of threw us off a little bit. But she came in at 1, checked me, and I was at like I think I was like at a 3 or 4 again still. She broke my water, and I've been having people ask me like, what is it like to get your water broken? What do they use? And it honestly looks like one of those like sticks you use to like crochet stuff with. They just like stick that up there. It's so weird. But she popped, broke my water. And this time around with Grayson, I remember it being like a gush. With Parker, since her head was like so far down into my cervix, it was more of like leakage for a little bit until I progressed a little bit farther. And then it was like a gush, which was gross. But so that happened at 1. Contractions picked up a lot after that. I started having them like every 8 to 10 minutes, and then 6 to 8 minutes, and then 4 to 6 minutes, and like they just started picking up. And we moved around a lot. We had to actually, since I was moving around a lot, because I didn't have an epidural, I could move around a lot. So I was bouncing on the ball, I was walking around the room, I was leaning up against things, just trying to do anything that like would help me take my mind off of the contractions and feel comfortable. But since I was moving around so much, they couldn't read her heart rate really good, and they couldn't figure out how far apart my contractions were. So there was a chunk of time in there for like a half hour, maybe a little bit longer, where they wanted me to lay in my bed. And I even think before that, I even think after they broke my water, after like a half hour, her heart rate started to go up. It got up to like 190. And I think it was just because like they popped my water, and like maybe she was like starting to come out, starting to like, my body was doing its thing. She was getting ready to do her thing. So her heart rate was elevated, and they put me on liquids through an IV, which helped bring that down, because I'm sure I was a little bit dehydrated. So then like I had that, and then contractions picked up, and then I had to lay in bed, which was probably the most painful part of the whole contraction part, was having to lay in the bed and not being able to listen to what my body wanted to do. So I was still listening and trying to like have Nick do anything that he could to help me like take my mind off the pain. Or the contractions. I don't even like calling them pain, but like the contractions. So like I had him pressing like in the lower part of my back, like almost like right above, I don't know what it's called, like where your love handles are, like right in the middle. I was having him push on there really hard. I was having him like put compression on like holding my knee up and pushing my shoulder down and like compressing that. For me, it felt really good when I was like arched, when I had my back arched. It felt better for my contractions. Like I was just trying to listen to my body and do anything that I was like, oh, let's try this. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do this. And listen to my body to try and like help me get through the contractions. So we had to do that for like a half hour. After that, they checked me. I was a 5 only, and I was super frustrated because I was like, I feel like I've been doing this forever. It was probably after a couple hours. She checked me, and I was a 5. And then I don't know what happened after that. I think I was able to get up and move around a little bit. I was kind of like all over the place. My mom had came in to help my mindset and help me remember to breathe and not think about the pain and just like whatnot. And then I finally got into the jacuzzi tub, which was the best thing I did. I got into the jacuzzi tub, I think at like 3:45-ish. and we turned the bubbles on, we turned the jets on. I was squatting in there, and I had the jets like shooting at my lower back, and I was like kind of like crouched, like squatting with my hands on the tub. And I just, every time I had a contraction, I stared at the bubbles. And I just stared at the bubbles, and I like stared at the bubbles, and it helped take my mind off of the contractions so much. I was able to like kind of calm down a little bit, and I was in there for like 15-20 minutes, and I was like, I need to push her out. She's coming out. So we got out, the nurses checked me, and obviously they were like, you can't push, your doctor's not here yet. They checked me, and I was at an 8-9, and I was like, she's coming, I need to push. So I had to lay in the bed again and wait until my doctor came, and just really like do everything in my power to not push her out. My doctor came, no, I think they checked me again, because I was like, I really have to push. And they checked me again, and I was a 9.5, and they called my doctor, and they're like, yeah, this is gonna go fast, so you need to get here. So my doctor came, and they tried to have me lay, and this was, you guys, like this chunk of time maybe happened in like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes span of time from when I got out of the tub to when I was like waiting for my doctor. So I was there, they had wanted me to lay on my back like you normally would, with your legs in your stirrups to push the baby out. And as soon as I laid down like that and got my feet up, I was like, this is not happening. I instantly didn't have to push anymore. And in my body and in my mind, I was like, this is not how she wants to come out. This is gonna make it a lot harder. So I just like said that. I was like, I can't push her out like this. I was like, I need to be up in a squatting position. That's how I was in the tub. That's exactly how she wanted to come out. And they kind of were like, okay, well, how do you want to do that? And I was like, I don't know, but I need to be upright. I need to be squatting. I need to squat her out. That's how my body wants to have her come out. So they like lowered the bottom half of the bed, and I just like squatted there, and I like held myself up in a squatting position. And the doctors and the nurses, I just remember looking up at one point, and like all the doctor, like my one doctor was in front of me, and then there's like 2 nurses, and then Nick and my mom was back there, and they were just all like watching me do this thing. And there was screaming. I remember that. I didn't scream with Grayson, but I was screaming with Parker. In like 2-3 pushes, and she was out. And I really think it was because I was upright and I listened to my body. And I think I had like one little tear, so I had one little stitch, and then the rest of, you know, everything that comes with after having a baby. But she came out crying, which makes me, it was so emotional, because Grayson didn't come out crying. So that in itself was super like, just thank you, Jesus, that she came out crying. And my biggest thing, I think, this time around was I was listening to my body. With Grayson, I kind of did, I listened to my body a little bit, but I didn't I wasn't confident in listening to my body, because I didn't know what I'd never gone through that before. So this time around, like, I went into being induced with an intention of like, this is how I want it to go. Obviously open for whatever God had in store for us, but I had an intention on how I wanted it to go. And I listened to my body the whole time through, which you can't really do if you have an epidural. But I was able to do since I did it naturally. And I just it was so smoothly. Yes, it was painful as hell, but it was so smoothly with how it went and how I was able to just be like, this is what I need to do. And then I did it. And then vocalizing and telling my nurses and my doctor, like, hey, I need to be upright. Like, there's no way I'm going to push her out right now, because I don't feel like I have to push laying down. And just being open with that. I think that's like my biggest tip for any of you guys who are going to be going through labor anytime soon and want to do it naturally. I should do a tips video, I feel like. But that's kind of our labor and delivery story. Now we are a week and a half postpartum. I feel really amazing. I'm not sore down there anymore. The only thing that's sore is my lower core and pelvic floor area, and I think it's because she sat down there for so long and just like stretched it out. It's still like a little bit sore and weak feeling, and like I can't fully cough yet. Otherwise it's kind of like, oh, okay. But I feel like I'm healed down there already. It's just my healing process after this time around was a lot shorter than it was with Grayson. So I don't know if that's normal, but I do think it's because my labor was not 9-10 hours long. It was only 3, so it was definitely shorter. But yeah, that's our labor and delivery story. And if you guys have any questions, you can comment down below. If you want me to do a tips video on labor and delivery this time around, you can totally do that. Or you can comment down below if you have any questions on anything. But if you guys want, I wonder if I can get, she's like out. But that is baby Parker. I'll probably do maybe another video of just like an updated video on how life is going with 2, since this is just going to be a labor and delivery, leading up to labor and delivery vlog. But we maybe will have a couple more coming. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching.